Hello everyone and welcome to Jump Up Supercast, the only podcast on the internet to be able to store more than 3 video games at a time. I'm Will, and joining me this week, Brandon.
I can store 4.
Ills.
How many Call of Duties is that?
And Saf.
I can't even store Super Mario, holy shit.
Super Mario 35 now available on the Nintendo Switch Entertainment System.
Are you drunk?
Yes.
Hey everybody, welcome to After Hours Jump Up Supercast. I got myself here a sparkling soda water grapefruit citrus. Oh baby.
That's extremely white.
He sounded like discount peanut butter gamer.
I mean we could go down a deep chain of discounts, you know? How many discounts can one man be? No, this is the Jump Up Supercast. I have no relation to Peanut Butter Gamer. I have no relation to anyone, really. We are unmatched. No one can be uncomparable. And by that I mean, we're just going to talk this week. There's not a lot of big news, not a lot of stuff going on, right? But we'll talk about, you know what, guys? We're a month out from next-gen consoles, right? Let's just check in on how we feel about that, right? We're going to talk about upcoming games such as Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity, which had stuff shown off if you're interested, right? And then maybe we're going to get buff. So there's plenty that we'll still talk about this week, even if some fools like Jason Schreier are busy writing articles about crunch still 4 years later. We've moved on. We don't care anymore, Jason. Give us something fresh.
You know what? Jason doesn't like Xenoblade, so who cares what he thinks, right?
Yeah.
We're shooting hard on Jason Schreier.
No, he doesn't like Xenoblade.
Oh, okay.
And apparently he likes Final Fantasy 15, which, you know...
Listen, I've said it before.
I'm sorry.
Schreier is a lot of good journalism. Wrong for America on JRPGs, you know?
Well, he does like Suikoden too. So,
well, we have that much.
You gotta choose your battles.
That is true. But yeah, so first things first, guys, we are a month out from next gen. Let's check in on has anyone gotten actual pre-orders? Because if you are, you're among special company.
Me and Ills, I'm pretty sure.
I got my PS4 pre-order.
PS4, wow.
Must have been hard. Whatever, PS5, my god. It's hard to go past 4.
Yeah, why would you? Yeah, so was it as easy as Sunday morning?
I don't know, I just clicked the button on Amazon, so yeah.
So it was as easy as Sunday morning. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yes.
You got lucky.
I'd like to say I have great timing.
You have the Series X pre-ordered too, right? Because you did the...
I don't know how that's going to go. I think so, but it's up in the wind. I don't really care if I get it right away, but we'll see.
Right away, yeah.
I had friends who had pre-ordered on he pre-ordered on Game, pre-ordered on Amazon, and some other website as well, just so that he can get a fucking copy of that fucking console.
The PS5 or
the PS5, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, PS5. I mean, both of them were hard to come by. I was able to get a Series X from Amazon. Wario 64. Thank you very much, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast, which I'm sure you are. Yeah, I was following him all morning when they were going live, and none of the links for the good first hour and a half, nothing was working. I was just no luck. And then he dropped the Amazon link. It's up on Amazon now, because they were supposed to be 10 a.m. But not all of them. Best Buy and Amazon didn't go up at 10 a.m. It was super weird. So I was able to click that. I saw that Amazon link. I kept refreshing his Twitter, hoping something would pop up. Saw that, clicked it. Amazon, the app on your phone, you can buy stuff scary fast. So I was able to get it really quick, just almost 2 buttons, you know. So yeah. But then I got the email that it might not be here on launch day.
Yep. I got the same email for PS5.
Yeah. So we'll see. Maybe playing it on launch, maybe not. And then I think I'm going to test the waters with PS5. Maybe go to a store. Hey, you guys got one? If not, yeah, whatever. I'll wait.
Yeah, I'm sort of like that with both right now, to be honest. When there was the mad rush, I was working, so I was well, I mean, I'm not going to try that hard, so I didn't try that hard. But really, it's interesting because we have a couple of other launch games that have been added. For PS5 in particular, right? Bugsnax going to be there day one.
With Bugsnax.
The Pathless is going to be their day one. But those are also both on PS4, right?
Yep.
And both of those are also running on phones. So it's not like the PS5 is going to be getting its power out of those things, you know?
The power of next gen.
In your pocket. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I don't know. We're in a weird situation.
Yeah, it's a very weird console leap because it doesn't feel necessary in terms of buying either of the consoles right away. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time it felt necessary for me to buy it right away, but I don't know.
I feel like I always
Nintendo Switch was the only time it felt necessary for me to buy something.
But that was that wasn't it wasn't competing with anybody else. It was on its own. So
also you could.
If you look at it that
really
way,
necessary. You could play Breath of the Wild on your Wii U. I'm just saying.
Well, what is the Wii U?
Please don't. Please don't have done that. Please.
I felt it with PS3 to PS4 because, as I mentioned before in this podcast, those consoles changed so much from launch to, from the Blades to avatars to everything else that was on the 360, right? And I don't know if you remember the PS3 PSN store. That thing crashed if you tried to scroll down more than 3 rows. It was a disaster.
Yeah, it sucks. It's really slow.
And so there was on the console side of things, there was actually things that I felt more than the games. But, the games, it sort of took, arguably, depending on how you feel about things like, Infamous Second Son, it took both consoles maybe 2 years to get a big exclusive that I was like, oh man, I have to have this now, right? Which was Bloodborne, really, I guess, for me.
That's when I got PS4.
Yeah, and then a couple months after was Uncharted, which was a more, wide market exclusive. But, for this gen, it is weird. I feel like the lack of E3 has hurt it a little bit, insofar as there was never the one day rush of, oh man, everything's happening, right? We've now had it spread out over the course of 5 months, but I think it's diminished as a result, right? And I think obviously for Xbox, Halo not being there means that they had to drastically change their marketing plans, right? Because that was going to be their launch title. And even PS5, they have Miles, right? Which looks good, but isn't it's not reinventing the wheel.
It's not going to be on PS4 as well, though?
Miles is not.
Oh, it's not.
Well, no, it is. It totally is. What am I saying?
Okay, I really thought it was.
Yeah.
But all right.
See, this is the thing. Also, it's they were so sneaky about what is and is on PS4 to try to make you forget that you can get all this stuff on your current gen. That's the other problem, too, is a lot of stuff is on current gen.
Yeah.
But either way.
I feel like the only one that isn't is Demon Souls, and that's an old game, so.
Yeah, that's because I'm so curious to see how Demon Souls does, because these things sold out in a minute, right? The launch, they're going to be totally fine. That they don't need games to sell at launch, to be honest, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They sell on hype alone.
Yeah. And so I think that is advantageous to both of the console makers at this point, But I think it is funny. So the Demon Souls is sort of now this I don't know, because it's such a relative to a lot of modern FromSoft games. FromSoft has actually done a lot of moving forward in terms of modernization and sort of smoothing out rough edges, right? Demon Souls still has all those rough edges, right? And it's I'm very curious to see how and when it sort of re-enters the public sphere after the FromSoft name has gotten so big, how it's received, right? Especially when it is getting a full-on remake.
Yeah, I wonder how easily people connect with the humanity system and the separate worlds that you have to go through with the stones. It's a different experience than a Dark Souls or Bloodborne game. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because we can sort of just talk about the last couple months of video games. A sort of similar thing happened where, because Demon's Souls has a small but loud group of people that evangelize it, right? As this is the actual best FromSoft game.
Yeah,
right?
It's a niche game that is supposed to act like a mainstream darling now.
Yeah. And I feel like the weirdest comparison point that has happened this year for that is Mario Sunshine.
Oh, God.
Because there was that group of people that were like, hey, Mario Sunshine's actually like the best Mario platformer, right?
Oh god, when you put it like that, it sounds terrible.
Well, I mean, they were there because there's people that grew up with it, right? They have that nostalgia. And so there was a bunch of people, though, because the GameCube wasn't the most popular system, that were like, this is my first time playing Sunshine, and I've heard so much about it, And then they play it, and they're like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
There's so much that's just weird and janky around this game, right? And it's I wonder if there will still be those rough edges, because obviously this is a ground up remake for Demon's Souls, right?
Yeah.
So they would have to intentionally put the jank back in there, But if they don't, then there might be fans that are angry,
Some of the systems that are inherent to the game, I don't think they're going to change those. I don't think they're going to change the healing system, right? You're just going to have to get herbs. It's not like the Estus flag stuff from not flag. What was the word?
Flask. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like that. It's not like you get recharges of it every time you hit a bonfire or whatever.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we'll see how that goes. But, the good news, bad news maybe, you may not have to worry about having a ton of games at launch, because maybe you can't even keep them on your system. Because we now know how much each... So the thing is always, here's the trick, right, is they have the number on the box, right? A terabyte for the Series X, 825 gigs for the PS5. But really, you have to save a certain amount for your operating system, a certain amount for other things, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's actually called usable storage, which is how much you actually have available to you.
Yeah.
Do you want to guess how much usable storage is in the Xbox Series X and the PS5? Price is right.
I think I read it, but I don't remember it now off the top of my head.
Will I fit Final Fantasy 7 onto that storage?
Yes.
That was like 100 gigs. Oh wow.
825 or something like that for the Xbox Series X.
It is 802 gigabytes for the Series X.
Okay.
Out of a 1 terabyte drive. And then, meanwhile, PS5 is 664 gigabytes.
Oh, God.
Man.
On an 825 drive.
That's rough.
Which is rough. Now, for comparison's sake, currently on PC, which PC they tend to do less work on compression because they just assume they can be lazy.
Yeah.
Call of Duty Warzone is 255 gigabytes.
Makes me laugh every time.
And games like FIFA are over 70.
That's insane. Come on.
Which, crazy. If you think about it, is a big deal because those are the games that will be on most people's hard drives that are buying these systems, right? And so, just on that alone, you're up to half of your total storage for your PS5, right? And Xbox has the idea of that you may have seen this with some current Xbox first-party titles. They separate now campaign and multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
So you can download all of it, beat the campaign, uninstall campaign to free up space, but keep multiplayer because that's the thing people tend to refer to. Yeah, good idea. Now it's a thing that is up to the companies to decide to do, right? They tend to not do a lot of effort in terms of trying to save space.
Yeah.
But it's
no Nintendo.
Yeah. It's funny to me because there was a lot of promises from both of the companies of, hey man, a thing about SSDs is games won't be as big, right? Because you don't have to, a lot of things about how things are stored, how assets are stored and drawn from, you won't have to do that as much. But the thing is, inherently, if things are higher fidelity, if you're aiming for 4K, it doesn't matter if you can store that stuff more effectively, you're still going to have bigger assets to handle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so both of them also have weird expansion options, right? Xbox has just the pure, here's a 1 terabyte expansion, which will run you $220 US.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah. And
220? Oh,
yes.
Man. I didn't even look at that.
It's because it's a solid state drive. That's why it costs so much. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And Sony's thing is you can do third-party ones, but they will be even more expensive than the Xbox One.
Oh my god.
Because Sony's thing is more like, like they sort of said back in March, there won't be SSDs that are this fast on the market when we launch this console, right? So at launch, there won't even be ways to expand your PS5, right? You can for both of them do cold storage, right? Which basically means it's just a hard drive that you can choose to transfer things from that to your console itself and then back onto your hard drive that's separate, right? Mm-hmm. So there are workarounds, right? Mm-hmm. How fast those transfer speeds will be is sort of still to be determined, right? Because they're just now getting in the hands of people. Yeah. But still,
that's the big issue. Like, if it's just not as fast as you want it to be, but it's still going to feel like you're downloading it all over again. So.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. Which, we'll have to see how that goes. But next gen's weird. It's
thank God for streaming, huh? Playing xCloud is going to help a lot.
Sure. Yeah, I think especially for when you are testing things out, right? That'll be
you're like, thing. This Game Pass game look kind of neat. You don't have to freaking download it and put it on your solid state drive. And you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
I tried xCloud and it didn't work that well for me. I don't know. Maybe my internet's not fast enough, but I don't know. It was kind of choppy.
Well, I think it's interesting because there's on the latency side of things, like, because there's Stadia, there's xCloud, and now there's Luna, right, which is the Amazon thing. Mm-hmm. And Microsoft does have the least advanced infrastructure of those three, right, in terms of lowering latency for things like xCloud, but they have the bigger library. And so I think it'll be interesting to see as time goes on if that can improve, right, or whether or not it's sort of like a fundamental issue of just you would take millions and millions of dollars of investment to improve it appreciably, right? Which we'll have to see. Loading times, by the way. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a good chance it's just my internet sucks, and maybe like for the vast majority of everyone else, it works well. But right now I'm kind of hesitant about it. It might
be because I've had no problem with it. I thought it worked like really, really well on my phone. I tried it at work, and that sucked. The Wi-Fi at work was not fast enough, but from my house it worked really well.
Mm-hmm. We have big news.
Oh?
We have the list of games that you cannot play on your PS5.
Oh my god.
I saw this.
Okay.
Is it the full list, though? I don't know if it's the...
this is the list they've given right now.
Yeah.
So I maybe they'll add them, maybe they won't. I don't know. But here's what we got right now. So if you're a fan of any of these games, keep your PS4 around, everyone. DWVR. I don't know what the hell that is. Afro Samurai 2: Revenge of Kuma Volume 1.
Oh my god.
Just deal with it.
Okay.
Shadow Complex Remastered. Robinson: The Journey.
Not
We
Robinson,
Sing.
The Journey.
Hitman Go Definitive Edition. Shadwin and Joe's Diner.
Yo.
Damn it.
Come on.
One I was hoping you wouldn't say was Joe's Diner.
We love Joe's Diner.
Damn it. I gotta keep my PS4.
That's only like, what, 10 games?
Less?
Yeah, it's 10 games.
Yeah, and they're, the only game I've heard of, We Sing, Robinson: The Journey, and Shadow Complex Remastered, and Hitman Go. But those are all on other platforms.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. And I felt bad. I felt like people were shitting on those. That's a really good thing if those were the only games, first of all.
Yeah.
But then I was like, yo, people sleeping on Shadow Complex. I heard that game was really fucking good.
It is. It's good, but it's just made by a shitty person, or written by a shitty person.
Oh, God, damn it.
Yeah.
I want to play that game.
One of those situations.
I heard that game was good.
But it's also on PC. It's on other places, right?
It's on Xbox.
Yeah.
It was on 360.
Yeah, it was originally.
It originally came out on 360. Yeah. Summer of Arcade. We miss it.
So we also have the ways you can transfer, right? Saves. You can just do cloud, obviously, right? You can have your PS4 and your PS5 next to each other, just creating enough fire to heat a nation. Enough heat, and you can do it wirelessly or through a LAN cable. Or you can just do it through a USB storage device. So all the stuff you would expect, right?
Okay.
And then you could remote play PS4 games on PS5. So if you really want Joe's Diner, you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you have to keep your PS4, which fuck that.
Yeah, you have to have your True on your PS4 and your PS5.
I just want to get rid of I want to get rid of my PS4. I want to get rid of my Xbox One. You know, just get them out of here.
Yeah.
This kind of seems like a very redundant feature.
Yeah, I mean, it's just...
Why those 10? Why?
It's just there. I imagine they already have remote play set up for tons of other things, right? And if you're going to use PS Now remote, which is going to have remote play technically, right? You're just going to keep that feature. I imagine it wasn't a lot of work, you know? So that's that. That was the stuff we heard in terms of impressions. Impressions, you can look up specifics on load times. A ton of people have gotten the PS5, the Series X in their hands. The PS5 is big. We finally can put them side by side. It's big.
Yeah.
Free up space.
This might not be in the interest of other people, but it is definitely in the interest of me, particularly. Is there any list of like PSVR games that are now compatible with PS5? I know there's like PS5 games, like there's only 2, Hitman 3 and some other game that will be VR compatible, but is there any like games?
Here, I have an answer for you, Saf.
Go on.
From the words of Jim Ryan himself in this blog post.
Right?
Yes, PlayStation VR games are included among the thousands of PS4 games that are playable on PS5. Please note that playing PSVR games on a PS5 requires a PSVR headset, a DualShock 4 wireless controller, or a PlayStation Move controller, and a PS camera for PS4, which are sold separately from the PS5 camera. Also, the PS5 HD camera is not compatible with PSVR and PS5. You'll need to make sure you specifically use the PS camera for PS4 and the camera adapter, no purchase required, to use PSVR on PS5.
That's needlessly complicated.
Yeah, why?
Long story short is, if you currently have a PSVR, you have all the stuff you need. But there's no future proofing, right? So a DS5 will not work. A DualShock 5 will not work. A PlayStation 5 camera will not work. You're going to need to keep a controller and that camera around.
That's so
why
weird.
The fuck is there even? Why is there a PS5 camera? Why is that even a thing that exists?
Yeah, well, they talked about it back in like March, and it's like weirdly high tech, but I don't know why. Because you would think the main thing it would use it for is VR. But clearly, I mean, at least not this PSVR, right? And there might be a PSVR 2 that they're future-proofing for. But right now, you're going to mostly, I guess, be using it to live stream yourself on Twitch from your PS5, I guess. If that's the thing you're into. That's a question. Wow. I want someone to tell me, are we going to, if you stream on Twitch with your PS5, because you remember back in the day on PS4, just to remind you that things have changed. Originally, there was no Twitch support for PS4. It was Ustream. They partnered with Ustream, and Microsoft got Twitch. And now Ustream's dead, right? And so they're like, well, we did not do as complex of Twitch support. So now there's that black bar that surrounds anytime someone's streaming a PS4 game on Twitch, right? And I hope that's gone, because every time I see it, it just looks bad. And like, you shouldn't have to buy a capture card to get rid of that. That's stupid for what 2020 is. Come on.
I mean, it's gotta be. They've got to figure that out.
Yeah, surely. But yeah, there's that. You can look up load times for stuff now. They are improved. They did not lie. They are faster. They're pretty close, actually, though. I think the biggest difference I saw was about 12 seconds for the PS5 installing a game versus the Series X. But besides that, pretty close. So,
I saw one of the things I saw like was really impressive was I saw a demo. So I don't know if you know Stallion 83, the guy who got like 1 million gamer score for it. He's got an Xbox Series X, and he put the One X, and the Series X all next to each other with Final Fantasy 15 all at the same time. Hit new game. And then I think like Series X was like 14 seconds.
Yeah.
To load the game into a new game. And then it was like the one was like 40 seconds. And then the One X was 40 seconds, and then the original one was like 1 minute and 20. It was like,
good God.
Wow. But 14 seconds from 40 is a pretty good improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great.
Yeah. And that's something that's interesting too, is just like there's a difference obviously from 6 seconds versus 14 seconds, right? But it's not as big as obviously 14 to 40, you know?
Yeah.
And so I wonder if and when diminishing returns will happen. But we also have more info on the boost modes, the backwards compatible enhancements, right, for each of them, which is like, for example, Monster Hunter World is just natively 60 now on the Series X, which is cool. And that's apparently just how it is, you know. There was no work done to make that happen because it's just done natively. And then a similar thing for Ghost of Tsushima is going to be 60 on PS5. So
it's really cool.
Really
I like
cool
that they're able to do that without even actually having to try, you know. And if they put in the effort, it'd be even crazier.
Yeah.
And they also say, didn't they say Sekiro is gonna do that on Xbox?
Yes. Yeah. And so I mean, there's a couple that are like obvious ones, right? That I think that people ask a lot about, like Bloodborne, right, and a few other things like that, where there could be. It would be nice to have enhancements, right? And so that'll get tested more as it gets into more and more hands. But early impressions are obviously very positive. Slightly goofy is that they did that for Spider-Man, and it's the only other thing they've changed Peter Parker's face. This was a whole controversy.
Finally, yes, we did it.
We talk about Peter Parker's face.
He looked so bad. He looked like an old man. I'm sorry, it was bad.
Well, it's funny.
Like 30? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Was he like 30 years old or something like that? 38 years old in the game?
I thought he was too, because they sort of presented.
He's not.
Well, I thought, because in the game they talk about Peter Parker's been Spider-Man for a while. He and Mary Jane got together, broke up, have been broke up, right? You know, he's caught every villain except for Kingpin, who he's been chasing for years. He's 23.
Yeah, exactly. 23.
He's super young. I thought he was like 28. But no. Okay. So originally I was like, oh, that matches his face. He looks older. But no, it turns out he's 23. So I guess it matches.
It matches now.
It matches now, yeah. They Tom Holland him a little bit, right? It's funny.
Did.
They said they sort of had the excuse of, oh, we made him look more like Yuri Lowenthal, who's the guy who does the voice actor for him. And then you look up Yuri Lowenthal, who is a 50-year-old man and does not look like Peter Parker looks like in that video game.
That's Sasuke.
And you're like, well,
it's Yuri Lowell.
Yuri Lowell, excuse me. Yuri Lowell, that's the wildest thing. They didn't cast Yuri Lowenthal as Yuri Lowell. When I saw this back in 2009, I was flabbergasted. What were you doing? You know?
I know. They missed opportunity.
Well, that was Troy Baker's first big role. He took over the world, all because of Yuri Lowell. Look at that. They say it's that, hey, minor side, brief side note. Definitive edition for Tales of Vesperia. They have a different voice actor for Yuri in the new scenes.
Yeah.
Because they just assumed that Troy Baker would say no. And Troy Baker came out and was like, no, I would have done it for like basically nothing. Like, I really, I'm super sentimental about this role because it was my first big one and they just didn't call me. And I felt bad because everyone originally was like, oh, he's just too greedy now. He wouldn't be willing to go back to anime now that he's in the Avengers. And it's like, no.
Forgot where he came from.
He remembers where he came from. They were too scared to call him. But yeah, that was
played this year.
That's a game you played this year. It's a game I played last year. But anyways, next gen, it'll happen to us whether we want to or not. In a month from now, we'll check in. You know, the election will have happened. We'll see how that goes, and then we'll see how next gen goes. Because
goddamn, jump up Supercast, getting political.
You know, maybe if the election goes the wrong way, I'll buy the consoles, because who knows how much time we'll have left to buy things. But until then, we are preparing for the potential apocalypse through fitness through Ring Fit Adventure.
Yeah.
This is a pact. Ills, Saf, Muzamil, Noah, a few others have entered. Brandon did not.
I was not invited in this pact.
It was
Brandon,
an open invitation.
Open invitation anytime.
He needs a fucking... He's a letter of invitation, like it's
I
Smash
didn't
Bros.
even know what was going on.
I gotta get my little wax stamp on the envelope.
No clue. Not one person mentioned it.
Oh my god. Saf, we've just finished our first month of Ring Fit. Ills, you were sort of your idea, so explain the way that we are progressing in our workout routines.
Every week, we have a minimum. We started at 10 minutes the first week. Every week we add a minute, or sometimes I decide to add more than a minute. And we have to do it Monday through Thursday. We have to post our time before the end of the day. Sometimes I'll give some people extra time because they have other shit to do. But yeah, if you don't post your time within that time frame, eventually your name will get added to the failures of humanity list, and we will all laugh at you.
Yes,
and that's pretty much it. I mean, I just want people to post their time and the day that they did it on. I don't really care about the exercises they did or anything like that. It's more about building a routine than anybody's specific fitness level. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, I think the minimum is nice because it does set at least doing a certain amount, right? But you can go as far above as you desire, depending on the day, right? Or you can, and obviously different schedules for different people. So I think it's nice, and there's no judgment on more or less, right? Yeah. Now we're gonna add some wrinkles coming up, but let's first check in on. We're a month in. Have you noticed any difference in terms of do you feel more or less energetic? Do you feel like the exercises are easier than they were at the start, or has it scaled up appropriately?
Seth or me?
Either one. So you're both doing it.
It's all you.
It's always all me. Yeah. So what's interesting is that as it improves more and more, you feel as though as you do it more and more, you feel as though you are capable of doing more and more as yourself, which is incredible. I did it, I think I did it before lockdown, a stint of 2 months. And it was amazing to see how I progressed in terms of increasing the difficulty, as well as increasing the amount of time that I'm willing to do it without getting exhausted. I stopped after the lockdown in March and then picked it up recently with this, and I had to start over again, but then I slowly built back up to the original difficulty that I had in a much more quicker time frame. And also I'm capable of doing more and more. I'm doing 20 minutes a session instead of 14 minutes because I can and because I have the energy to do so. It's just a matter that and I'm now thinking about my diet now, which is weird because I never really thought about going this deep into exercising. I thought it's this is a good way to just keep healthy and just build up stamina. But now I'm just thinking I'm feeling a little more exhausted throughout the day. I need to eat more meat, or I need to buy more meat to get some protein or something like
Carnivore
that. Yeah.
You and Jordan Peterson's kid are just gonna go all carnivore all the time.
No, literally for the past month or two. No, yeah, it's for the past month I've not had any meat. Which is a huge change in my diet. So now I'm just thinking maybe I need to get back into that sort of thing because there's some sort of missing element to my diet that could help me in this exercise, which is nice to me because it's making me think more about my body and my health and my well-being, which is something that a lot of people need to think about generally.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that's the general goal, and that's why in the next week, I want people to start posting their breakdown of the amount of calories they ate using another app. So I just want people to think about the things that they're eating, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So that's good.
The calorie shit is going to be a nightmare for me.
I mean, it takes some getting used to for sure, and it helps if you have measuring cups and measuring spoons.
I buy it from a butcher's, and they don't have fucking calories on their shit. I get herbs and
Saf
stuff.
drags a half of a cow just back to his house and slumps it on the ground.
You gotta do your best estimates. Yeah, it's not about being 100% accurate.
As long as general impression, right? Because I think generally the thing is numbers catch up on you faster than you would expect, right? Especially when you snack, because that's where a lot of calories sort of sneak up on you.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I think the thing that's nice about Ring Fit is one, it throws enough variety at you where there's rarely time. I will typically go longer because I'll be like, well, I want to do this one more level, or I want to do this like side quest. I want to do this thing, right? I want to level up one more time to get this skill, right? And by doing so, you suddenly realize, oh, I've done 20 minutes longer than I intended to, right? Because that adds up quietly. And so that's nice because, like, you know, I was talking to my primary care physician the other week, just virtually because we live in a pandemic. And I was like, hey, like, I'm 25 now, right? I'm still in the youth, in the young period of my life, but I understand that it's only going to get harder from here, right? To like stay in shape and maintain, you know, a healthy lifestyle. And I was like, what's like the numbers you should aim for? And she was like, 2.5 hours of physical activity is like number one, that a week. And so that was sort of, I was like, well, I've been doing this Ring Fit thing, so that just works out, right? And so that I think is nice because ultimately the minimum we're going to set eventually is 30 minutes, right? And then you can go above. That'll be along, you know, not too far off because we're already at 15 minutes minimum. But, 30 minutes minimum, 4 days a week, and then a little bit of 5 minutes extra every day. That's 2.5 hours. You did it, you know? And that's like the recommended amount from a physician, which is nice.
God, I'm so smart.
Brilliant. Big brain ills. And so, yeah, I think that's the thing that's nice. I'm further than I did in my initial run of Ring Fit. So I'm now at the part where I'm like, when things pop up, I'm like, oh man, I want to know what's going on with the story. What's going on with Ring's first love? Oh man.
Yeah.
There's a lot of weird romance elements in this game. I didn't expect.
There's a lot of weird everything in this game.
Just Drago's there. And he's like on a bouncy ball, and he's like, the bouncy ball is shooting like hot, like air at me, but it's like there's something going on here, like it's like coming from the crotch zone. I think there's something happening there.
Don't overthink it.
I'm trying not to.
Just remember, your sweat is so shiny and beautiful. Okay.
My sweat is so shiny and beautiful.
So one thing I haven't reached in Ring Fit, which I am super eager to find out more about, is level 40 and the fact that you have skill trees at level 40.
Yes, yeah.
That's when it starts.
That's like what, fucking 15 hours into the game or some shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am level 81 right now.
Oh my god.
And so the skill trees continue to catch me off guard. I'm continually caught off guard because that complaint I had originally that Ills mentioned almost a year ago, right, as the thing that actually wasn't a problem, is like when you sort of get the new exercises, you sort of discard the old ones, right? Without getting too much, the skill tree is how they bring back those exercises.
Yes.
Oh, great.
But the most powerful exercise that I have right now in my repertoire by a pretty wide margin is my planks. And I hate that because I hate planks.
Yeah. I don't like planks because like the ring con seems to track it like badly. Like some exercises it doesn't work super well, so I avoid them to avoid frustration. Yeah,
you have to like take your waist way lower than you are supposed to get it to sort of recognize you, like go up and back down and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it's not perfect. No. But I now am dipping. The main thing that I do wish would be neat is they do have fun little like courses that you can just pick, right? Here's the things that will dominate your like your legs, your glutes, your like, your triceps, whatever, right? But sometimes that means you'll be walking into a fight with just a skill you got 30 levels ago that's like not scaled to where you are, especially with the arm exercises. There's someone at the Nintendo hates arm workouts because all of them are way weaker than everything else you do in Ring Fit.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think it'll be interesting to fuse the calorie count into it, right?
Did you expand the skill tree yet?
Yes.
Did that happen for you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm now seeing how many skill points I'm going to need to fill out that skill tree.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, this game goes longer than I thought it would. That happens in the story too, right? Like there's a couple of bits, without spoiling, where like I feel like, oh, this is where this beat's gonna happen, or like this character doing this thing. But then they're like, no, we're gonna hold off on that. So I'm like, oh god, that means that there's at least 4 more worlds on top. Like, oh god, like I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, I'm at like I just got to world 10 today. So we'll continue to keep on keeping on. But yeah, it's cool. I'm happy to have had it. Doing with other people, I think, is the main thing. Having accountability is nice.
Yep.
So now, of course, we have the that's news. That's casual conversation. Hope you are cool with that. But we have more important things. We have, frankly, a task from God. Much like the Blues Brothers, we're on a mission from God, and that is adding a game to the list.
The list.
Follow along in the paste bin below, as every week we add a game to an ever-growing list of video games. We're over 200 at this point, right? 217. Good lord. That's not a small amount, but let me tell you, last week we had Bravely Default. It made it. Where did it make it on the list? When we get to the middle, it's
92.
92. Well, that is, I think, a fair place for Bravely Default. Brandon, you are bringing a game this week.
I am. So, here's what I was thinking. We got this little thing called the bounty board, and I was going to use it, but then I said no. Sorry, yes. Because I only could have chose one game out of there, and I didn't want to talk about it. And then I started thinking about, everybody thinks Brandon hates Sony. Brandon doesn't like Sony. That's not true. All right. I love the PlayStation. All right. I just hate Sony fans. That's a whole different thing. I love the PlayStation. And although I haven't added a single game from PlayStation on this list myself.
That's how you know he loves it.
Yeah. A decent amount of them on there, like I've already played, that are on there. Like I played a decent amount of those. So, it's time, though. It's time for me to add a PlayStation exclusive game. In fact, a Sony first party game to the list. And we already got the first one, so we're going to do the second one, and that's Uncharted 2 Among Thieves.
Okay.
God damn it.
Uncharted 2, I got to say, this honestly might be my favorite game. Not of all time, but in terms of PlayStation exclusives. I think it's my favorite PlayStation first party title. I know there's people who like God of War more, or there's people who like The Last of Us more.
Medieval.
There's a lot of contention about that, but I love the Uncharted series. I really think they're great, and Uncharted 2, it took everything the first one did. And I think improved on it so much. And I think Uncharted 2 was one of the first games that I remember playing at the time and being like, this is the first time I'm playing a video game and thinking this feels like a movie. And a lot of games have done that since and gone back and tried to, there's a lot of games that are like, wow, this feels like a movie. But also, some of them miss the mark where it just feels like you're watching a movie and not playing a game, Metal Gear Solid 4. Or, but Uncharted did, you feel like you're watching a movie, but you're playing a game at the same time. It really balanced that. And it felt like you were playing Indiana Jones adventure movie type of game. It was awesome. And a lot of it is just due to, the storytelling, the writing, the acting, the locations that you go to. It just improves so much on the first game. And I absolutely love this game.
Sure. I mean, like you said, where is Uncharted 1 right now on the list?
It's not super high, honestly.
It's 94.
Deservedly so, because it's a good game.
I think this is a huge jump. Huge jump. Right? I think from the writing perspective, they figured out how to write Nathan Drake better. They figured out how to write Elena better, Sully better. They add Chloe to the mix, right? Who is a great addition.
Awesome, by the way. Yeah.
And then, like you said, I think that I sort of, with later Uncharted games, this may be, I don't know, depending on how you feel, I think they buy in a little bit too much into their own hype, right? And that I think that they sort of dip more into like more serious, deep topics, exploring Nathan Drake as a character. And I get why you would want to do that, right?
Yeah, the third one especially. But yeah.
But I think that 2 strikes a really good balance of just like, this is an adventure game. It's clearly based off of adventure films. They don't hide that that inspiration. Yeah. But it keeps, I think, the appropriate tone throughout pretty much the whole game, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is nice. There's varied set pieces throughout. I remember, being wildly impressed by the visuals and by the dynamicness of the set pieces, the part where the building is crashing around you. And, I was just like, man, what a wild thing to be happening, not in a cutscene. I think that when you say that part about, it feels like it's playing a movie, I think the playing part is key there, right? Because you are playing through these parts that normally before this in a lot of video games would have been pre-rendered cutscenes. And now you're actively taking place, right?
Exactly. They found that balance. It was really good.
Now, some parts of it, there's not, sometimes you're not doing like a lot through that, actually, right? You're mostly just holding forward or pressing X or whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like my biggest, like, if I had to pick one thing in the game that I like want to like critique, is that it's linear, but sometimes I like that. Honestly, I just want to like, I just want to know where to go and like experience the game. But also, sometimes it's a little linear to a fault where you're climbing something and it's just, this is exactly how you have to climb it.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I guess one of the biggest critiques of the game, and pretty much all the Uncharted games in a way, like kind of like the Tomb Raider games type too. They're a little bit more open ended, but yeah, just like this thing has exactly what you need. Like you're climbing like a building, but you can tell everything. Like this is exactly how you have to climb the building, and that's it. There's no, there's no way around it. There's no like, you can't experiment with how you climb the building. So.
Did anyone else found 2 to be oddly difficult or unusual difficult in some areas? Because I remember being stuck in quite a lot of different places in Uncharted 2, where it's just like
puzzle wise or like shootouts.
Shootout wise, like I just have to stay there for like a good 5-10 minutes while everyone's shooting at me, and then it's like, okay, now I can take a shot, and then just wait until my health regens.
I didn't really find it too difficult. I mean, it's been years since I played it, but I don't remember thinking that at the time.
I do think the playability of Uncharted has increased with every game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Drake just has more movement options to him that are fun. And so I think that's the thing that I would say has is this one thing that I think that I would say definitively the later games did better than this one, right?
4 probably especially. Yeah,
because I think that Uncharted sort of excels when it's not just being a cover shooter, right? Because unlike a Gears of War, where Marcus Phoenix is built like a tank, controls like a tank, is like a big meat mountain you're moving around, right? And they're designed around that. Yeah. Uncharted, Nathan Drake's slider, he's supposed to be more lithe, and so like they sort of realize as time goes on, we should design around him being able to sort of run around a lot more, right? And so I think that they dip into that with this, because I think in Uncharted 1, there's a lot of camping behind and just chucking grenades and waiting behind cover. But I think that they hadn't fully figured it out at this point, personally.
It's still very good, and I like Nolan North a lot as Nathan. Like, he brings a lot of life to the character, and he kind of feels like, although he's doing like these incredible things that you're like, yeah, right, like just crazy, but he also like makes him feel like an everyman, where you can kind of relate to him, because he's not a superhuman. He's getting shot at and he's like, oh crap, oh this is awful.
I mean, he kills like whole mercenary armies. He is kind of
he does. Exactly.
The ludonarrative dissonance entered the discourse because of Uncharted 2, I mean, it's funny because it's like, what's his name, Tim the cameraman?
Yeah,
he got so much time for his death, because it was the only one in the game. And so they really they milked it for all it's worth. And so I think that there's those moments where it sort of is a little goofy, right? And sort of how they try to meld the gameplay and the story, and sometimes it doesn't fully mix. But I do think it's worth mentioning. You mentioned Nolan North and all the performances, and I think they're all really strong. But partially they were like, there was a lot of big innovations in mocap that was done for Uncharted specifically, that are now just commonplace in video games, right? Most games are mocapped in terms of animation, but that sort of helped push, I think, all of video games forward in terms of getting emotive performances out of the actors that are portraying these characters. So that's worth giving a lot of credit to, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's so when it comes down to the list, right? Where do I want it? I guess first thing that comes to my head, and this isn't like a concrete, but above Batman Arkham Asylum.
That's where I was looking around there. So I would be cool with that. The only things that I have with sticking points are Horizon and Pokemon, but I know that Pokemon Red and Blue, so you guys don't feel the same way. So I guess they would really be Horizon would be my only sticking point, but if it's above Horizon, I'd be fine with putting it right below Shovel Knight, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I would put it above Horizon.
Okay.
As much as I love Horizon, there's a lot of like minor issues. Like there's fat to be trimmed down, whereas in Uncharted 2, there's no space for there to be fat. It's just straight good shit on and on and on. It's a movie. It's linear. It's a movie. You know what I mean? Like there's no slow points. There's no bad points. It's a very, very good game.
I really like the Sherpa Village in Uncharted 2. I love it that there's so much intensity, and there's sort of this moment of just like taking a break, right? And I think that's what separates a smart developer from a very smart developer, right? Is knowing when to put a breather moment in a thing like this, right? Because it can be very easy to get scared of losing your audience, but they didn't. So I think that I'd be willing to put it above Horizon.
I absolutely love the opening in Uncharted 2, by the way. Game is like awesome.
The best opening in the series, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the best openings, I think, probably ever.
Sure.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So I got Uncharted trilogy just so I can replay it. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to replay it, because I don't know if I like it better than Batman Arkham, to be honest with you. Because Batman Arkham did a lot for Batman in the video game genre. Like, to me, like it really, really, really did a lot to kind of represent the good parts of Batman in video games. And the game itself was actually incredibly fun as well. Like,
did you like punching the Joker?
Okay.
When Joker get buff. The Joker's been playing Ring Fit, and he's feeling real jacked.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I genuinely forgot about the Joker.
It's what everybody brings up with that game. I mean.
Yeah, it's funny because Uncharted's villain is basically non-existent, right? He's just a mean bald man, right? Which
like me.
Yeah, Brandon, a nasty bald man. Yeah,
These
so
Sony fans are low.
But yeah, I mean, because arguably the best part of Arkham Asylum is kind of the Joker, right? Hamill's doing all over the place, but then it so falls flat on its face at the end that you're like, oh man, dang it.
It's the opposite of a smart move.
Yeah,
it's very dumb.
Yeah,
it turned into a video game boss, which is like, why?
I'm gonna become Bane because like you already fought Bane, but here we go again. I'm
gonna charge you. Because I'm angry. Yeah.
This is why I wanted to replay fucking Uncharted. But yeah, no. The ending was a big, big disappointment for Batman Arkham. Whereas this one, Uncharted 2 was genuinely really good. Like, it's as fucking Il said, it was really, really good at showing off great, great set piece after set piece after set piece after set piece. And it's been repeated again. Like, it felt like you're going through like an Indiana Jones movie. Like, it felt like you're going through a real video game movie type shit. And yeah, I guess I could agree to put it above Batman Arkham Asylum until I replay it, and then decide whether or not I want to recess that.
Sure.
Maybe you'll want to put it higher.
Do you want to put it above Shovel Knight, Brandon?
No. I mean, yes, but no. I think I'm okay with that, honestly.
Where do you want
really
it?
like.
I'm fine with it below it. I think that if it was, we're going to get into the classic Shovel Knight conversation. But Spectre of Torment, I think, is one of the most straight up solid platformers I've ever played. Just like what a remarkable video game. And I think that Shovel of Hope is just, and King of Hearts are just below it in my personal estimate.
I think King of Hearts is above it, but
sure, yeah. But I think the fact that you can feel multiple ways about that and still acknowledge that like all of them are very good, I think is there. We didn't mention Uncharted 2's multiplayer. I played some of it. It was wholly mediocre. It wasn't, I don't think, when you bought Uncharted, right? They definitely expanded Naughty Dog multiplayer as time went on. 4 apparently had really good multiplayer, and I like The Last of Us multiplayer, but 2 I didn't. So I sort of, I
don't even know it was a thing.
Yeah. So that's why I would put it still below Treasure Trove.
I mean, Treasure Trove, if we're going by
multiplayer Showdown, I never touched Showdown, so I can't speak to Showdown.
It's not good.
Yeah. But yeah, and even like Plague Knight, right? Is still, you can do really wild stuff with Plague Knight. I think the Shovel Knight has just, it's as much of a full package as I could ask of its genre, right? Whereas I feel like there are set piece adventure games that have been surpassed by Uncharted, right? Not adventure like Indiana Jones adventure games, right? But just like that type of going from here to here, exploring, right?
What games do you think are better?
I mean, I don't know if this is an unfair comparison, but I think that like Titanfall 2, right? Like if you're talking about like set pieces, I think Titanfall is just a really tight campaign. And a few other ones. But yeah, I would put it below Treasure Trove. The more I think about it, the more sort of firm I get.
Okay.
All right.
So is that it?
I guess my first shot was the right one.
No, we did it. All that, and we nailed it. Oh gosh. So there it is. That is number 35 on the list. Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. So I forgot the subtitle for a second. Surrounding it, 32 on the list. Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest. 33 Pokemon Black and White. 34 Shovel Knight Treasure Trove. 35 I did 3 above it. 35 Uncharted 2 Among Thieves. 36 Batman Arkham Asylum. 37 Skyward Sword. 38 Resident Evil. We did 7 that time.
You had to make it even. Okay, I get it.
Made it even.
Sure went all the way to Suikoden 2.
Just keep trucking. We're gonna do the whole list in one breath. That is the podcast for this week. If I may request the final phrase, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But if anyone want to do plugs before we go?
I'll do it. Hey everybody! I hope you enjoyed listening to the Jump Up Supercast Game Club. And not the Game Club. Holy fuck. See, I go into autopilot there. By the way, the Game Club, Jump Up Supercast Game Club is another show we do that I host. And I, every time I do the plugs, there's like a 50-50 chance that I'm going to say that. But hey, if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you listen to this podcast anywhere you want, including SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube, where new episodes go up every single Monday. And then we also have the Jump Up Supercast Game Club that I just mentioned. That every new episode goes up of that every other Thursday. And this week, in fact, we have a new episode coming out where we played Little Nightmares, and just in time for spooky season. And we'll talk about that and what we thought of it. And if you want to hear that, make sure you listen. And make sure you follow us, like or share. Feel free to let us know what you thought about, are you playing Ring Fit? How you feeling? Are you staying fit during this time? And if not, maybe you want to play Ring Fit in hell. Maybe somebody will invite you to play Ring Fit, unlike me. But if you thought that Uncharted 2 was in the wrong spot on the list, let us know too. Just tell us. You can also tweet to us, or you can message us on Facebook. We have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have Instagram. Follow us there. We post when new episodes go up. every single week. And if you enjoy what we do, we have a Patreon. Just $1 a month lets you get access to choose one of our game club games once around. And we also have a Discord that you can join and talk to us. And if you want to catch us streaming, sometimes we have a Twitch, twitch.tv/JumpUpSupercast. We're playing video games there. We'll be playing Among Us. Be playing, Fall Guys, Muzzy. Maybe he might be playing Mario. Who knows?
Who can say?
But if you want to know, you got to follow us to find out. And and as always, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. And Will, your final phrase.
When you are hearing this, it will be for almost all states in the United States of America, the time that early voting has started. That means that you could go out right now and cast a ballot in November's election, not only for the president, but also for your state and local elections, which are hugely important to your day-to-day lives, even though you may not pay attention to them. The only way you can make sure to have that happen, though, is by being smart, by acting early, and by making sure that you are engaged, okay? So that means check your ballot, see if you're registered to vote, register if you haven't. There are some places that allow late registration, which is pretty important. All that, of course, also, we're not gonna say who, even though it's a certain orange person and his people that do not want a lot of you to vote, right? They don't want people, especially if you're on casting votes. Guess what? Screw them. Figure it out. Engage in the electoral process. It's the most important thing we talk about on this podcast, except for video games, which are still obviously number one in the world. But number two, let's say 1A, 1B is making sure you are engaged and making sure that we can be free from this national nightmare.